Good morning, everybody. For any of you who don't know who I am, my name is Michael Hoffman. I am the Director of Financial Aid here and work at the admissions office. And I wanted to talk today on a topic that is likely on the minds of many of you here in the front couple of rows, and something that you all have a certain amount of experience with, and it also happens to be the professional focus of my life, and that's admissions. I've had a number of discussions with students this winter who saw me in the CPT-3 common room on Tuesday nights reading applicant files, and they asked me what the whole process entails, and I wanted to take a few minutes to reiterate to all of you what our office does, what we do each year to create this awesome, talented, diverse, enthusiastic, kind, fun community that we have. And those are my adjectives, and I can come up with more to describe all of you. Then I would like to take a couple of minutes to tell you my two experiences as an admissions candidate, applying for high school and then for college, and hopefully pass along a little of the wisdom that I've gained seeing the good and the bad of admissions from both sides of the file. Today is quite literally the pinnacle of the admissions cycle at Taft. As of this morning, there are 339 accepted students out of an applicant pool of over 1,500. Over the next few days, that number will fluctuate a little bit as we refine exactly who it is that we want to accept, as we struggle to balance a financial aid budget that, while generous, still requires us to make decisions that boil down at times to money rather than ability, and overall to try and identify the scholars, leaders, musicians, artists, athletes, characters, and citizens that make and will make this school even stronger in the years ahead while still staying true to Horace Taft's original mission. The admissions process at Taft goes nearly year-round and is truly a global endeavor. Our admissions team this year traveled to over 25 states and more than 20 foreign countries on 4 continents, and we will do it all again next year and the years after. In our travels, we speak to groups large and small and try to convey through our stories, through our smiles and pictures, as much of the magic of this school as we possibly can. To brag a little bit, I think we do a really exceptional job. This year, over 5,500 prospective students inquired about Taft, over 1,700 students interviewed for admission, and over 1,500 applied. I think it's important to recognize all of you students who are involved with the Admissions Council and volunteer your time as tour guides, to give up your limited free time in the ways that you do, to walk a family around campus, to answer their questions, to make them feel welcomed, and to let them see a little bit of what makes Taft special is true non-OCB service, and you guys should be really proud of yourselves. So thank you very much for all that you do. In a few weeks, right after spring break, we're going to call on many of you again to help us out with our 3 second visit days and help make those the best that they can be. And I know that all of you will put on your best faces and help us make those great and memorable experiences for that incoming class of students. I also want to take just a minute to thank the 5 wonderful women that make up the admissions office. These women are truly some of the most dynamic and flexible people at the school. Mrs. Wandelt, Mrs. Blaze, and Mrs. Murphy together assemble and mail over 10,000 pieces of correspondence every year. They file over 50,000 pieces of paper in order to ensure that every transcript and every recommendation is where it belongs. And they do all of this while the phone rings off the hook with 1,000 different questions from nervous parents. Mrs. Burns has the monumental task of recruiting 200 students to give all of those 1,700 tours. This includes Wednesday afternoons when almost all of you have gone up to sporting events, and it includes rainy, snowy, windy December days when you are much more focused on the term paper or the test or the exam coming up than perhaps giving a tour. I'm not sure how she's able to do all of that and do what she does and keep a smile on her face. Finally, Mrs. Blomberg has the important task of serving as the welcoming smile and the welcoming face of the school. She will meet, greet, and chat with well over 5,000 people in the course of the school year. Of all her talents, the one that amazes me the most is how she can look over her shoulder at a room of 50 total strangers that she has just met and be able to tell me exactly where that student that I'm about to interview is sitting. It's really an amazing talent. So these 5 women are tremendously important to the effort that we do, and I hope we can just give them a quick round of applause. The one thing that I want to focus and convey to everybody, all of you students here in the room, is the potential that exists in every single one of you. In order to have earned a place here at Taft, you had to impress a number of individuals. You have to perform well on a standardized test, but much more importantly, you have to show passion, character, scholarship, and integrity. In a pool of 1,700 applicants, there are dozens of one-dimensional students with perfect SSAT scores. We require more than that. There are exceptional athletes who do not show a similar commitment to their academics. These people are not admitted. There are many otherwise fully qualified applicants who are not offered admission because some piece of their application called into question their honor, their honesty, or their integrity. And these students are not here. You are a very qualified, talented group of young people. You made a strong impression on your interviewers, wrote interesting essays, had stellar recommendations from your previous schools, and you're doing great things here at Taft. But every now and again, I challenge you to ask yourself whether you are being as true to the applicant that you were as the individual that you are here. In other words, are you fulfilling the commitment that you made to yourself when you applied to Taft? I think, and I believe that most of the faculty would agree with me, that the great majority of you are. But if you have any question, any doubt about the impact that you're having on the school or the experience that you're having as a Taft student, please reach out to somebody and ask for help. Or come back into the admissions office, and we would be more than happy to help you rediscover that passion that you showed so effectively in your application that helped bring you here. I can remember a great deal about my process of admission to Taft, although like most old memories, it comes in snapshots. And so I'd like to just kind of run through a list of some of those snapshot memories that I have. I have a really faint memory of that universal Taft applicant experience, sitting in the Harley Roberts room waiting for my interview. I can remember having my interview in what is now Miss Watt's office, and I remember the name of the woman who interviewed me, Manette Dubose, although I can't remember a single thing that we talked about. I can clearly remember the place on campus where I was sold on the school, where I fell in love. I imagine for each of you, you can probably think back on a similar place around the school that made the greatest impact on you the first time you saw things. I would like to tell you that it was the library or the science center or the dining hall, but those places looked much different on that day in 1992 than they do now. The view that truly blew me away was walking into the weight room in Crookshank and looking out over the field house. Athletics was a big factor in why I was looking at private school. I'd been playing Pop Warner football for a few years, and my small rural high school didn't offer the sport. So the view by the railing, looking out on 15,000 odd square feet of open athletic space, spoke to me in a really powerful way. I can remember taking my SSATs on a very snowy Saturday afternoon at the Rumsey Hall School. 5 or 6 inches of snow fell over the course of the 4 hours while I was taking my test. And afterwards, I remember calling my parents, probably on the payphone at the school, and telling them that rather than picking me up, I was going to walk over the hill, the 3 or 4 miles back home, rather than calling them out to come pick me up. Yeah. I can remember writing my admissions essay in my bedroom. I wrote about my allegiance to Notre Dame football. I wrote about how I fell in love with the team as a 9-year-old and how I wanted to come to Taft, play football, and go on to play for the Irish in college. The movie Rudy would not come out for another year, so at the time I felt that this was a fairly original idea. I can remember walking down my driveway on that day in March 1993 to retrieve my decision letters. Taft was then, as now, a very difficult school to be admitted to. I was far from certain that I would get in, and truthfully, before I got to the mailbox, I had mentally released myself from the disappointment that might be waiting behind that mailbox door. I was fairly certain that I would be admitted to and attend the Kent School, so that when I reached in, saw the large envelope with the lion, and tore it open to read that I had been accepted there, I further shielded myself from a possible big red rejection by saying out loud, by the side of the road, as cars rushed by, "Screw you, Taft." And then I reached back into the mailbox, and the trajectory of my life changed dramatically. For my college admissions process, I remember less. I applied to 5 schools. Like it was drawn up on my college planning sheet, I had one reach school, Colgate, which to this day I have never seen in person, and I have no idea why I applied. One safety school, Lehigh, which I had no desire to attend and only applied because my favorite uncle had gone there. And the 3 schools in the middle where I would have been delighted to attend: Davidson in North Carolina, Colorado College, and the University of Richmond. I was an average student at Taft. I never made the honor roll, but I had 2 AP classes on my senior schedule, and I fancied myself a strong writer. I was a 2-year corridor monitor and a 3-year varsity football player. I had an excellent letter of recommendation from Mr. Bernan, who had been my math teacher and was the faculty member who knew me best. I had worked hard, found leadership opportunities, participated in athletics and community service, and earned the respect of the faculty as a good kid. Maybe this profile fits a lot of you as well. So unlike that moment at my mailbox 4 years earlier, I was not well prepared for the news coming my way. Over the course of a week in March 1997, I was rejected by Colgate, admitted to Lehigh, and I received 3 letters informing me of that cruelest of admissions decisions, the dreaded waitlist. The last of these 3 decisions came from Colorado College, and because letters were mailed over our spring break a few years before we'd be able to access things electronically, I had driven the 40 minutes from my house to check my Taft PO for my last shot at attending a school I would be happy to attend. I'm pretty sure that I cried for a minute or 2 as I sat behind the wheel in Main Circle before driving home, and I know that there's a cabinet door in my parents' kitchen that remains cracked from where I kicked it an hour later, and in between, I know that there were a lot of F-bombs, I'm sure. As Taft students, you guys are all pushed, challenged, encouraged, and supported like few other high school students in the country. Now, as was the case 16 years ago, Taft graduates are exceptionally well prepared for college. So what does it feel like to find yourself in a position where you feel like you have seemingly no choice in the process of where you matriculate? What does it feel like to only get into your safety school? I can tell you it feels pretty lousy. I felt like I had let down my parents, I felt like I had let down my teachers, I felt like I had let down my school. How could college at a safety school be fulfilling? Hadn't I earned more than this? And then a funny thing happened. I went to bed that night, the sun went down, and the sun rose up again the next morning. Amazingly, the world continued spinning. And slowly, although I couldn't really recognize it at the time, I began to grow up and get a little wiser to the ways of the world. I wound up enrolling not at Lehigh, but at the College of Charleston, a school that I had not even heard of until after I graduated from Taft. It was early June, and I had been paid to drive a family friend's car from Connecticut to South Carolina while they moved to Hilton Head. One of my Taft roommates was from Charleston, and while staying with his parents and explaining to them my uncertain college plans, they suggested that I have a look at the college, as they call it down there. So the next day, I walked up the antebellum streets among the magnolia trees and the dogwoods on wavy brick sidewalks, and within minutes found myself in the middle of campus. And I looked to the left, and I looked to the right, and I decided that this would be a whole lot better than Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. At least for a year until I transferred somewhere better. Well, a year came and went, and I realized that I had learned a few things. I realized that there are amazing professors, even at colleges, that you don't know that much about. It turns out that I made great friends who joined with me in incredible adventures and who will remain dear friends to me for the rest of my life. It turns out that the road that seemed like a dead end opened up more opportunity, happiness, and success than I ever could have imagined. I am working my dream job, and I am more professionally satisfied than I have ever been in my entire life, and I can trace directly the path of my professional life to one house in one place in Charleston, South Carolina, and I am not at all certain that any other course of events in my life could have led me back to where I am here today. So although I never would have believed it as a graduating Taft student or that crying senior in main circle behind the wheel of my car, I would not change any single piece of my experience. Seniors, many of you are comfortably admitted and deposited in the college or university of your first choice, and I'm sure that that is a wonderful feeling. Congratulations. For the rest of you who wait anxiously for decisions to arrive in the coming weeks, I wish you the very best of luck. Know that you have a great college counseling group who wants only the best for you and has worked tirelessly to help get you into those first colleges of your choice. In the event that your number one school is not able to see in you the potential that your teachers, your coaches, your advisors see, it's okay to feel crushed, to cry, to kick something, to drop an F-bomb or two. Let those feelings arrive, and after a day or two, let them pass. There are amazing experiences and successes on the horizon for every single one of you. Serendipity will be a part of each of your lives, and the direction forward can never be seen with full clarity, and sometimes we just have to push ahead blind. Don't fear the unknown, especially if, like the college process, it winds up not being what you had planned. What you may not realize is that beyond the education that you are receiving in literary analysis, in mathematical computation, in scientific investigation, here at Taft you are receiving an equally exceptional education in character and confidence. Let that confidence help you overcome your setbacks. Let your character lift you up over your obstacles. Finally, to you seniors, the last months of your time here is upon you. You are 4 weeks away from that culminating term of your time at Taft, senior spring. Your life will continue to get better and better as you grow older and new experiences are layered on. But this one great part of your life is coming to an end, and it is never coming around again. So in these last few weeks and months, guys, please have fun, make it memorable, but please be safe. Be smart, make good choices, look out for one another. Thank you all for listening, and have a great day. I wish you all the best.